And that's because your concentration of melanin is extremely high. And that's the side effect. They twins. If you get Dr. Carol Byrne, Melanin, the Chemical Keys to Black Greatness, it shows you the comparative analysis between the THC and the melanin cell. But the THC, once received on the receptors, is used for you to fight, for you to, okay, so you know when you first start smoking, you're sleepy all the time.
Right.
Your spirit body weak.
Mm.
When you first start working out, what you do? Sleep all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right, because you wear your body out.
Right.
Once you get the immunity to the THC, your spirit body gets strong, you start to begin to translate the psychic influences in your life and see the signs. That's why they villainized marijuana, just to make it illegal, so that me and you won't never be smoking blunts, looking at their ass, seeing straight through them.
Mm.
Just weightlifting. THC is weightlifting for the spirit body.
Mm.
Now, we used to give children CBD, but we didn't give them the THC until they was past puberty.
You said we used to give them CBD, but not the THC until they was past puberty.
Yeah. Once they pass puberty, now it's time to start building the spirit body. And they'll have a puberty ceremony. They call it bar mitzvah. What the fuck is that shit? But okay. They can have a bar mitzvah, but part of the ceremony in the sweat lodges or in the peyote ceremonies was for the ones in the Southeast. That's that Cali shit. That's why in Cali, PCP was such a big thing, because it mimicked the trip of the peyote and the ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah.
It was a synthetic mimic. So
Right.
that's why it was so many of them gangbangers out there strung out on Sherm.
Mm.
That's PCP.
Because those type of experiences were natural to us.
Right, because we use it to build our mental body and our spirit body. Right. So, but normally you do it under the direction of a shaman that's called a spirit guide, but he in the physical body. Or sometimes he called a sleep traveler, because he go with you to the dream world. But he's talking to you while you going through your trip to keep you from having a negative reaction from what you're trying to do by waking up spiritually. So when they initiate the boys and they give them the first toke of the peace pipe, there's also a blend. They got herbs in there too. They got lavender, they got rose, chamomile, right? So they treating a whole lot of stuff at one time in the process. That's why with the sweat lodges, you had to be to a certain age to attend. To start coming into the sweat lodges, you had to reach puberty. Right? Now, when they came from Europe, when the conquistadors came, they took it from sweat lodges to travel lodges. They took us from reading the land, right, to reading the law. Because the law is the code for governing over those who don't know who the fuck they is. And that was all orchestrated by Rome and the Pope.
Facts.
So when you see us waking up like this, we busting the motherfuckers in the head. Kanye is right. Ye is right. We busting them in their head by persistently not backing down. We don't have to do all that marching and shit. This our shit. The fuck I look like marching for my own shit? Bitch, get off my motherfucking yard. Well, I'll bust a cap in your ass. Right? That's right. How you do when it's your shit.
Right.
I'm not finna go negotiate with no motherfucker squatting on my shit.
Nah,
this is not a negotiation.
No. Nah, Ye is all the way right. I would have tapped into that too, but you know, I seen you talk about it a couple times, but he's dropping some info now.
Kyrie too.
Who?
Kyrie Irving too.
Yeah, he just walked his back though. But yeah, he was.
No, he didn't. Look, he did what he needed to do for the purposes he needed to do it, so we can see that it ain't just Kanye. That's all we needed to see one time.
Okay.
We just need to see that one time from somebody else with status.
Right, that he had backup when it was time.
And then go back and listen, because he got the message he wanted to get out at the press conference.
He did.
He could bag everything up now, and everybody know he backed up our army.
Right.
Right. So then what that mean? What that mean for Kanye?
Okay.
Backed up by a motherfucking army.
Now I found, like, I know you've been watching the Ye interviews. I found that very interesting how he was saying the GDs in Chicago kept him from doing the initiation.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell you this about gang culture in Chicago. You have to disregard your education and be a slacker in life for them to really accept you into the game. If you have any positive talent or skill, them gangbangers will beat your ass and make you go chase your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to tell you that part. Larry Hoover sent kids through college just the same as Bill Cosby did. Bill Cosby, it was public. Right? Angel Bay fed more children in the few years he was on the street than every politician in D.C. put together. He directly orchestrated the feeding of breakfast programs throughout Chicago in alliance with the Black Panthers and the LSDs, the Lord Stone Disciple Alliance. And shit wasn't like it is now.
Right.
I didn't give a fuck if you lived on O Block or J Block.
House turf wars.
You just give me respect when you on my block, and I give you respect when I'm on yours. That was the way it was ran. It's when people learn to be disrespectful and have a superiority complex, my life's better than yours bullshit.
Right.
That's the divide and conquer. They inserted people in our community to teach the boys that shit called being hard. But the niggas that taught them to them ain't never caught a case. And if they did, they ain't never get convicted and wasn't locked up longer than 72 hours. Because they knew who was in the community and they knew who they needed to influence. They knew who they needed to get control of. They could never figure me out. They just cast me off as being a crazy, autistic, retarded ass little boy that ain't gonna never learn that. Just like I needed them to in order to go under their radar.
Mm-hmm.
They got outsmarted by a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old. How do you let a little kid outsmart you?
Because you play on their innocence. You don't even think that they're going to do anything. You don't think they're going to, they're a little kid. For you to even be aware enough to know that you had that power back then, though, that's that savantism.
Look, I used to have prophecies on a regular basis. My mom used to tell people, that boy can see the future.
Mm.
I already got a track record of psychic phenomenon back from when I was a toddler. I used to be able to levitate until I got initiated into the lodge. Somebody needed to knock my motherfucking ass straight.
So so with that being said, with being initiated into the lodge, what do you feel like? Do you feel like these athletes and artists or whatever they may be in the industry stepping into these different lodges, trying with the intention of learning from the people that are trying to press back to us, doesn't seem to be working out? But what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think that is a smart move for us to do? Like, I'm gonna go dance with the devil for a little bit, try to figure out his move so I can bring it back.
Remember, don't never forget in none of your analysis of what's taking place on the land where we've been in a protracted struggle for 500 consecutive years with no break in the middle. We've been in a perpetual state of war. We've been locked in war.
Yep.
All right. So when you're in war, you have to strategize militarily to overcome what you face with. If you don't use the military strategy and the military understanding of the workings of a military state or a police state, if you don't know how it works, you can't see their deception. The worst thing for them that you do is pull all of their receipts, pull their charters. Who's signing these motherfuckers? They ain't us. Every one of their charters is signed by either the Pope or the goddamn Queen of England. What the fuck? Who the fuck is them motherfuckers to say what's going on over here?
Right.
They ain't got no business over here. This is where our business is at. We wasn't going over there. Yeah, we went over there and got in their business. I ain't gonna even tell that bald-faced lie. We went over there and got in their business. But it was necessary.
Right.
Right. So now they came over here. At the end of the day, everybody gonna be satisfied with the outcome of the protracted struggle, because at the end they didn't win. We don't get replaced because they was trying to replace us. They was Jacobins. So when you looking in your file and your paperwork and you see Jacobin, your family line was tagged for them to steal it. They have to put Jacobin in there, or Yakub or Jacobin or anything like that, to indicate that they got your bloodline tagged for replacement. So you would say, I got an uncle, William Jacobin from England, right, as my great-great-great-great-grandfather. No, he ain't. That nigga lying. He probably ain't never touched your great-great-great-grandmama.
Wow.
Paper genocide. They call it that for a reason.
Mm.
Then they were switching us at birth. That was horrible. They were switching us at birth, letting the dirty Moors raise our kids and fill their head with a bunch of propaganda bullshit.
That's wild, because I do see some of that on my just doing my genealogy. I see a little bit where like it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. Like a certain person like kind of just affixed themselves into the picture. I don't know.
If them fake Hebrew names is in your chart, you was tagged for replacement. Jacob is a supplanter, the underminer. He come to replace us. Yahweh is Enlil, who told him that if they win, that they would replace us, and he was right. If they win. If they win. This is the planet of the apes, motherfucker. And I'm gonna pound on my motherfucking chest and beat the concrete. You motherfuckers not gonna win here. Right. Now that we got a chance to permanently eradicate the earth for the parasites, I'm gonna take full advantage to make sure we don't. If all it is a knowledge game and a 5D chess puzzle, come on with that shit. They ain't ready for me.
All 5D chess. They playing on multiple levels. Dang, that's wild. Cause I'm sitting here thinking about it. Cause I direct descendant of 2 chiefs, one Creek, one Cherokee. But you know, Creek that's technically underneath Cherokee.
Cherokee, go look that term up. That was one of the catch terms, like Moor, that they was using to what they call an inclusionist doctrine of genocide. They used the Cherokee name to cover up the real name of the indigenous people so that they can insert anybody under the term Cherokee.
$5. Okay. That was like a coverall.
Right. Just like Moor. You see, they didn't ever think we was going to figure out that Cherokee and is tied to the Moors, and the Cherokee is the cherry tree, and the cherry tree with the cherry key. And George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. Come on now, all that shit related. 32 degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry under the direction of Albert Pike, who also passed off as George Washington, when the real George Washington wasn't no pink motherfucker.
Nah, he was definitely copper.
Right. So when they tell you George Washington was born in Virginia or France, that's the imposter. But that's what you call a 3-point conversion on who he is. Because in France, that's where the Bavarian Grove Illuminati started under Adam Weishaupt. And the only motherfucker they got a real picture of is Albert Pike. The rest of them is paintings. Like they didn't have photographs back then.
Yeah, definitely did. And they capping on the quality of the photos and stuff too.
Man, I seen the picture of the guy that was inventing the first camera. Come on now.
Now you got a picture of the guy inventing the first camera.
And the caption said the same thing I was thinking. Who the fuck took the picture?
Right.
But we supposed to believe just any old goddamn thing. They just tell it to us and we run with it.
Right.
I'd be like, where did that shit come from? Who told y'all that shit? And when I started asking them questions, it started hurting people's feelings because they didn't never ask them questions.
Yeah, because you can see stuff on Tartaria, like the buildings underneath the buildings that we have now that kind of hold up a lot of these cities. You can kind of see some of that, like pictures before the cameras came out.
Notice everywhere these major cities around the world is, They always been major cities all over the world in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Pull the ley lines.
At meridian points.
Pull the ley lines and look at and look at where they at. The hot meridian is the 33rd parallel on the equator.
Mm-hmm.
The 33rd parallel run through Atlanta.
Yep.
And it run through Cairo and Mecca.
All right here.
You know what I'm saying? When you follow the equator around, you see all of these things that's so far from the equator, between the equator and the 33rd parallel, and that's the sweet spot.
Right.
Now, once you start going past the 33rd, the planet starts to cool down drastically. And that's how you know the south is the top of the planet, because it's the one get the most sunlight.
Right. And they flipped it on us.
Tricked the shit out of our ass. We fell for the banana in the tailpipe.
Flipped it on us.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I didn't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, but it wasn't because I was smarter than nobody else. I just liked in my bananas, so I took the banana out the tailpipe when they put it in there.
What's wrong with you?
They were playing monkey in the middle.
Right. And the crazy part about that is I remember I was like 18, 19. I'm taking a flight. It's to, I think it was like Cuba or something. And the flight pattern they had me on, I'm looking up. You know, I'm getting online and looking at the map. And they taking me all out the way, like the opposite way to where my destination is going. And then taking me all the way across the world. It was like a 16-hour flight, but if they went straight to it, in like 3 or 4 hours.
But
so,
a lot. To Buckingham Palace about a year and a half ago, but they didn't announce it to the public until September the 8th. September the 8th, that's 3 days before September 11th, off the turnaround, 9/11, right? And then, and the Vatican is calling home all of the assets. Now, this is big. The Vatican is bigger than the Queen. Well, I don't know. They probably about the same amount of big, because to announce her demise is the same as saying that the royal family fell. And then you got the Pope who calling in all of the papal holdings to be returned to the Vatican coffers by the end of the month. And the general report is that we talking a couple of $1 billion. That's not true. The Vatican holds trillions of dollars in assets. Every corporate legal fiction masquerading as a government is owned by the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church owns all legal fiction corporations. And that was done by a papal bulls back in what they call the Unum Sanctum papal bulls years ago. So yeah. Dissolving the Knights of Malta, all of that stuff is tied into it. I'm gonna see if I can pin Corey comment for a minute, because that's what we're talking about. And so it's a lot of stuff going on, but we ain't paying attention, right? So I shared a post with a guy from YouTube that did the gematria on the Queen. Saved me a whole lot of work, so I just shared it. It'd be easier. So yeah, you should have about 60 days supplies, because when they first pull this money out, it's going to leave a hole in the global economy to the tune of probably about $2 trillion. That's going to cause governments to collapse around the world. It's a chain reaction, a domino effect. Yep. Let me see. Any more questions in here? So we just doing Kinfolk, that's his name. Yeah, he was so laser precise. Only thing he didn't do was the Q flips. The Q flips is the 17 months. The 17 months since her husband died, he did it in days, right? But it was 17 months. And then it's We'll come back up somewhere else. But he didn't do the Q flips. The Q flips is critical, right? And then some of the numbers that he was flipping got codes to him. What's going on, Chief Peacock over there, Thunderbird in the house? We see you, baby. Right? So now it's a waiting game, and they've been dragging this shit out for a long ass time. I'm tired of them dragging it out. Whew, shit.